It's a big night in the Virginia governor's race. Democrat Creigh Deeds and Republican Bob McDonnell are going to meet in their first live televised primetime debate. Tonight's event is critical for Deeds, trailing in two statewide polls by 8 to 9 percentage points just 3 weeks before Election Day. Deeds needs a breakout performance. And joining us now to preview tonight's debate is JMU political analyst Dr. Bob Roberts. Bob, thanks for being here. Is tonight's debate critical?
More for Deeds than for McDonnell. McDonnell's got a good lead in the polls. Deeds hasn't been able to mobilize his base, particularly Obama's base. Somehow he has to get Obama voters interested in him. It makes a difference who's governor, and he hasn't made the case yet. So he's got to make a case that somehow Obama's goals are not the same as McDonnell's goals. Therefore, if you believe in Obama, you need to vote for me. And he hasn't been able to do that.
You mentioned the polls, 8 points in one, 9 points behind in another. Is Deeds in trouble?
He's in serious trouble. In other words, the trouble he faces is that if you look at independents, independents are going heavily for McDonnell. He's all right with Democrats. He's all right with women. He's all right with African Americans, but they're not that interested in the race. Whereas conservative Virginians, rural Virginians, are very interested. So they're going to turn out in record numbers. He hasn't been able to mobilize his base to come out, and that's the bottom line for him.
Can Deeds make up that ground by Election Day?
He can if he convinces the voters that McDonnell is going to destroy what they want. In other words, Democratic voters want more money to be spent on transportation. They want more money on education, higher education K through 12. If he can convince them that McDonnell is not going to deal with those issues or he's going to hurt those programs, they might come back. They might think the race is important to them. Right now, a lot of Democrats don't think the race is important to them, and the independents are angry at Obama because they don't want to raise any taxes. So in a sense, the issues are going toward McDonnell and away from Deeds.
So what does Deeds do then in tonight's debate to try to rally the troops?
Basically say the race is important, that a Republican administration is going to do severe damage to the programs that you want. Education, K through 12, higher education, better transportation. Republicans won't deal with those issues. You want those issues to be dealt with, you need to vote for me. So it's a fairly clear message. They just don't believe it. In other words, he's got to convince them that it makes a difference who's governor. And right now, the no tax wing of the voters are more animated than the programmatic voters who want those programs to be expanded.
Okay. Now, what does Bob McDonnell need to do tonight?
Basically, be very, very careful and emphasize time and time again, I'm not going to raise your taxes, much like Ronald Reagan did back in 1980. In other words, I'm not going to raise your taxes. I'm not going to I'm going to have a very conservative, pro-business, create new jobs, exactly what he's been saying the whole time.
Okay. And as far as this debate, is part of what's important what happens after the debate?
Absolutely. It's a spin. In other words, how the media interprets the winner or the loser. Deeds have, in a sense, lost the last two debates. The media has said he's lost, he didn't do very well, he stumbled, he made mistakes. Deeds has to, in a sense, convince the media that he won the debate, so at least voters take another look at him.
Mm-hmm. Are there people pretty much decided at this point, would you say?
I would say about 80%, 85% of the voters are decided, and you've got about maybe 10% undecided, but it's really who's going to show up at the polls is the issue. Because right now we have a lot of interest in the race. So if the voters get interested in the race again, particularly Obama voters, then these have a chance. But they're not interested right now. They simply aren't engaged in the race.
All right. Bob Roberts, JMU political analyst, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.